Hey there, boys, girls, and flying squirrels. I'm Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For this week's episode, I sat down with Nashville duo Jenny and Tyler before their concert at Northwestern. We discussed their decision to leave their record label Residence Music, their work with the International Justice Mission, and the album they will be releasing this fall. Enjoy. So we just played a show, you guys just played a show in the basement a few hours ago. How'd you feel that went?
I felt like it went pretty well. It was less to me like a show and more like a presentation sort of thing. We spoke about justice and God's heart for it, and played a few songs. Played 3 songs, and then mostly just talked. But I felt like
we liked it.
Like it went pretty well.
We enjoyed ourselves.
And you mentioned justice, and you guys are partnered with the International Justice Mission for how many years has it been?
It's been a while.
I would say 2011 would have been the first year, so 7-ish years.
And then when did you start doing the For Freedom EPs? That's been kind of your ongoing series. You've released 2. Do you have any plans for future ones?
We love cover songs, so eventually
we'll probably do another one eventually.
Yeah.
The first one was fall of 2013.
Yeah, and then we did another. We just called it For Freedom 2 in what was it? February of last year.
Because that
2017.
Because you did that one was Fix You. You had Fix You by Coldplay and some other.
Yes. Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
And, Walk On and Lightning Crashes.
Yeah. Because your first one, that's how I kind of found out about you. I was actually had to cover it for a class, and it was I was like, there's suddenly, because you had not song that U2 song, Still Haven't Found One.
Still Haven't Found.
Yeah. And then you did, was it Tonight by
Tonight, Smashing Pumpkins.
And then what was the other ones on that?
Dreams, Cranberries, What a Wonderful World, Postal Service, We Will Become Silhouettes, Simon and Garfunkel, Sound of Silence, Coldplay, The Scientist.
Okay, do you pick songs that you currently like for those EPs, or is it songs coming from your musical upbringing?
That's more, it's more from our musical upbringing.
I think we're too nervous to cover anything like super recent.
Too recent.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's just fun to go back to those songs that influenced us so much. Tyler listened to a lot of like 90s rock, growing up. And it's so out of character for us to play that sort of stuff. So it's fun to just revisit all of that.
Especially like something like Smashing Pumpkins, where it's just Billy Corgan with amps on 10 playing just aggressive music.
Yep.
And then one of the big things you guys have done was you left Residence Music within the last year or so and gone fully independent again.
Yes.
And what was kind of the big drive for that? Because a label is almost an artist. They've made it. So what's going back from going independent to a label and then going back to independent?
Well, I mean, the biggest drive for it was just that it wasn't like, it just didn't work out financially for the label, honestly.
I think that was the main
reason.
Issue. So we signed with this label I want to say like 3 years ago, and they ended up putting in a whole lot of money into the marketing of this, I'm sure. And then because of them, we got to record a Christmas album.
Yeah, there were a lot of really good things.
And we learned, there were so many great lessons we learned being with them. The quality of our marketing went up significantly. We'd never gotten photos or videos of that quality before. We also learned kind of like how it works, how the whole label process works, and how having different people who have been in the industry make decisions on, like, as a team. It was this sort of like this council of where wisdom, where there was a lot of wisdom in decision making. So that was cool. But we've been independent now, I guess, for about a year now. They let us go, and
It was good.
It was good.
It was, I think, beneficial for everyone. They,
Yep.
they did so much for us, and unfortunately, the return just wasn't there for it to continue to make sense for them. And honestly, it wasn't going to continue to make sense for us either.
No.
So it was very mutual, sort of split, and we're really happy to be independent again.
We are, and even we've had a manager for the past 5 or 6 years, and starting in the beginning of this year in 2018, we do not have a manager anymore.
That's what you mentioned for our little phone interview we did last Friday.
Yes, yes. So it's great. We're getting to know the people that listen to our music again. We're getting to have personal interactions with them, whether it's over email or with Patreon or Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
A lot more than we did before during the time of having management, because they're taking care of a lot of that for you.
So it's a lot of work now that's back on Tyler's plate, but I think it's really worthwhile and ultimately a good, positive thing for us.
Yeah, because we get to know what people really like about our music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with your next official release that's coming up this fall, you said that you guys it was a poll out to pick your favorite songs from your Patreon albums to help pick the track listing from that.
Yeah, we did a monkey survey, and we got to see what our patrons' favorite songs are.
So are you pulling for that new album, are you pulling mainly from those Patreon albums?
Yes.
Okay.
There might be like a new song or two, but people who are our patrons will have heard demo versions of most of the songs on the record.
Yes.
And they're really the ones who are kind of making the record possible in a way. Like they're contributing, their patronage is contributing to the record as well.
Yeah, so we're not doing a Kickstarter. We're just letting our patrons fund the record now, as well as create new songs every month and videos with their patronage. But they're basically they're our backers. They're our label now.
Yeah,
so to speak. They're more than that because there are many more of them speaking into what we do, and it's a different kind of relationship. But essentially, they're providing the funds, And
then with those Patreon albums, are those serve as, because sometimes the tracks are just very raw, like it's a guitar and 2 vocals, and it's almost a sketch of what you can almost hear it might turn into, and then some of them are fully produced. Are these what goes into compiling those albums for you guys? Like what makes, because I'm guessing you've written way more than what shows up on those albums, or do you just
Not really.
we basically we'll finish a song, and because we've released 30 songs in the past year.
Yeah,
so.
and it's pretty real time. Like, I would say, there are more things that have been written, but they haven't been finished necessarily. Or like they're in process, or maybe I've written something and I'm just like, I don't think this is Patreon.
Yeah,
this is worthy.
There is a bit of a selection process. We'll take songs to each other and say, is this worth recording? And
but it really is fairly real time. Like we'll finish a song, and there have been times where half hour later we're recording it for a Patreon. So yeah.
With the Patreon stuff and the albums, you opened a studio in Nashville to the Sea. Was that a big part of the Patreon thing?
Yeah, it was. We opened it with the thought that we would record our own stuff again, and that we would record other artists as well. And
you've worked with a number of artists recently to help put out some records, or
it's been not a whole lot. Three in the past year. Yeah, but one full length, one EP, and one single.
Okay. How has the studio affected your songwriting? Because last time, or when you wrote your earlier records, if I remember correctly, that was kind of, you did that in like basements and kind of recorded that yourself.
Yeah.
Now that you have like a studio, does that affect your songwriting? Is it more collaborative, or do you guys still write more separately?
I would say that what has made us a little more collaborative lately isn't necessarily the studio, but Patreon and having like a timeline for when we have to put out songs.
Okay.
Because it'll be like, man, we need a song to record tomorrow. I have a really good idea or I've got verses or something, but I just haven't landed on a chorus yet. And it's like, I got to take it to Tyler.
Yeah.
And so we've ended up, I think, collaborating a little bit more just because we've been pushed to be more creative more consistently. So I don't know if the studio's affected that writing, but the studio has certainly made it possible for us to finish and demo songs.
More easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then tonight for the show you're playing at Nazareth Chapel, it's just the two of you. I know you've played before with a full band. Are you guys moving to more of a duo kind of thing, or is this more, or is just the two of you? Is this that just kind of tonight because you didn't have a band, or do you play with a full band still?
The full band was a very short season in our musical career. We've primarily been just the two of us with different bells and whistles, and that's likely going to be how we tour because it's for one, it's easier. For two, we've heard people actually say that they prefer not with a full band because they feel like it's less personal.
Yeah,
it's less us, and a lot of it for us is the songs, but it's also the storytelling, and it's just us. And when you have a full band, you feel, at least I feel like there's more of a pressure to sort of be something that we're not as an act. I don't know.
I don't feel that necessarily, but it does seem that
I feel like we're hiding. For me, it's I hide behind the music more if it's full band.
I just enjoy it. We like hanging out together, so it makes sense. Sometimes we can. It's easier, and there's more room for us to kind of like feel each other and improvise a little bit more that way. So
yeah, I think it's more dynamic.
Okay, you're not cramped to a specific sonic space within the full band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's a difference between like bands that are truly bands and then artists who have a band backing them. You know, like if you're a band, you can jam and be a little more fluid, I think. So the duo thing's a good fit for us.
That's it for this week's episode of the Ear Coffee Podcast. Make sure to come back next Monday for your weekly gig list and next Wednesday for your regular episode. I'll see you next time.